What advice would you give those people that's, maybe looking to start transitioning to the next step?
Start. Just
Mm.
start. Like you have to do something. So, scared money don't make money. If you feel like you're ready and you feel like it's something that you can do and you think it's going to be lucrative, number one, entrepreneurship is not, oh, I win every day.
Yeah.
You're going to take an L no matter what. You just have to be ready to take that L when that L comes. And so I think having a mindset going into it, not being scared to fly and spread those wings for the ones that are ready and feel like they got it, do it.
Yeah.
Because you never know what'll come out of it.
What's happening, family? My name is Tyler,
And it's Darren checking in with you.
and this is Uncharted Mind, right? The show where we talk life, health, and wealth, man. We got a dope episode for y'all today, man. Listen, this episode, when I tell y'all, I define the word persistence on this episode, man. This is one that I saw value in for my community, for our community, and man, I was willing to do whatever it took to get this, to make this interview happen, man.
Yeah,
And I'm sure she can attest to it, man. Real dope person, real dope entrepreneur, man, with a great business model. Something that, the average consumer use probably several times a week, you know what I mean? But we don't really think, a lot of people don't think about the business aspect of it. But that's okay though, right? Because we got a guest on that's going to talk about all that, right? She's been in business for herself for quite some time. And to say the least, she's been very successful, right? So without further ado, man, Chef, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people your name, where you're from, a little bit about yourself, so we can get this joint started, man.
Hi guys, my name is Chef Lucas, aka Luchal'S. I'm the owner of Luchal'S, located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am born and raised in South Central California, but made my way down here through the military. So here we are. Thank you guys for having me on the show today.
No, for sure.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for agreeing. You know?
All right. So, man, I did so much research, trying to make sure this interview was perfect. And I got so many questions. But first, I'll start off with what inspired you to go to the military? I know that you are a veteran, and you went into the military as a culinary specialist. But I want to start off like what initially, made you want to go enlist and join the military.
For me, number one, I'm from South Central California, so Compton, Inglewood, all that,
Okay.
Inglewood up to number 6, and it was, I don't know, it's a lot going on out there. And back in like 2007, 2006, about 2 years before I decided to make that move, I think for me it was doing something bigger than me, and that was my biggest thing. I've always wanted to help a cause, I think, and to change some stuff. It's always been my calling, I feel. So when it came down to it and it was like, well, where do you want to go? I was a banker, almost worked my way up to a finance consultant. Actually, the company that I did work for, which was a major bank at the time, the lady that hired me, she wanted to move me up quickly because, she saw the work ethic and things like that. And she was like, you have a lot that we could use, And so once I dropped my papers and told her like, ma'am, I'm leaving, it was really hard for her because she really wanted to get me somewhere, get me going in that business. But I wanted to cook as well. And I had a niche for cooking before I had got in. But ultimately, it was bigger than me. I thought that, military work would be way bigger than me. It was a different kind of field. It was a different struggle. It was a different everything, and being able to travel and do different stuff and, see different sites, majority of people from my area, we don't get that opportunity all the time. You know what I'm saying? So to be blessed with that opportunity I had really, really good. Oh my God, my recruiters were outstanding. We had some niches, some things going on here and there. And, they really pushed for me to get to where I wanted to go. And I don't mean push like in a sense of, how you got recruiters and they're like, okay, well, we just need to get you in because I got to get my course. And I got, what I mean? I am still friends with my recruiters actually until this day, and it's been
Okay.
over 13 some odd years.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah, that was my overall idea when I got ready to join the military.
Okay, so listen, because I was in as well, man. The listeners already know,
Yeah.
and that process, right? You had cool recruiters, so I guess it was a little bit easier for you. But for me, it was kind of crazy, you know, choosing a job. Actually, when I decided to sign up, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I chose to be a mechanic just based on issues that my pops was having with his vehicle at the time, right? So it's crazy, right? Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean that's why I chose it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you say you had a passion for cooking and things like that. What would you say was a direct contributor to you having that passion? Was it somebody in your family that cooked a lot, or like what was it?
Yeah, my mom, she cooked from scratch. So, come living in the inner city, half of the kids, you know, statistically, they're not eating like that. There were, you know, we had school lunch. Some kids would only get school lunch, and that would be it for the rest of their day. From high school to junior high to elementary, that's just how it goes. And even to this day, that is how it is, unfortunately. But my mom, I used to watch her bend over in the sink, and she would be cleaning greens. You know, she would be snapping, you know, peas and doing things that I was like, you know, what is this? Like, why is she like that take all that work? I used to have to do this thing called winging chicken. And, you know, you had to get the feathers off, the chicken. And if I didn't get the feathers off, I got in trouble. And so she was very, and I guess I could say it was something for her. I think it was a very, kind of relaxing kind of feel when she did cook, but she also taught me that, you know, number one, food is health, and health is wealth. And when, you know, our kids, they need that. They need good food. They can't just eat McDonald's all the time. They can't just eat Burger King. Sure. And, you know, she was really big on not, on making sure that I didn't have that experience. Now, there were times when we would go out and eat. She would introduce a lot of different things to my palate because she loved food. So we would go down to Torrance, and it was this place called Restaurant Row, and they would have all the, you know, high-end restaurants. And on Saturdays or a Friday evening, we would go eat. There's this place called Marie Callender's that, you know, has been around for years, started off in California. My mom was a vet in there. They knew her they knew when she walked in the door, you know what I'm saying? And so just having those experiences to be able to say that I've ate this, I ate that, you know, I know what this should taste like, or I've, you know, experienced these things. That was real big for me. Not understanding it when I was a kid, but now as an adult, seeing how that actually, you know, comes back full circle and how important it was. I was like, wow, heck of an experience, if that makes sense.
Okay, so real quick before you, because I have a kind of part two to this question.
Go ahead,
before you go. So, all right, man. People from our background, we are a little bit more hesitant to well, at least I'm not even gonna say we. I'm gonna just say me and people that I know are a little bit more hesitant to try new things when it comes to food. So like where did that open-mindedness come from to try those different foods? Was it just, you know, was it your mom just continuously cooking separate, you know, different dishes, or like what was it? Because to be honest, like I probably ate the same type food up until I was about 23, to be honest. And I started introducing myself into different things, and my mind was blown, right? So, so what led you to like be more open and willing to try new things?
I mean, I think it was her and my family. You know, my cousin, they used to stay in Carson, and my aunt, you know, they used to do we used to do cookouts and stuff, and cook-ins, if you will. And she would do the gumbo, and she was making all kind of different stuff. We had salmon croquettes. I didn't know what the heck a salmon croquette was. I was like, what is that? But it was, you know, it was very good, you know, to be introduced to fish and, you know, different types of, you know, whatever. So like my whole family, pretty much as a collective, they've always been into food. We are foodies, you know, and even to this day, you know, watching my cousin as she grew up and had her kids and things like that, she always said, you know, experience is a big deal. You won't forget certain things. You know what I'm saying? You can get something in your hand that's tangible. It'll break tomorrow and that's it. But these experiences, tasting, seeing, feeling, you know, visuals, that means so much more. And you'd be shocked at how that could set a person up for success just by having that. You know what I mean? Now, given my mama, she wasn't the type to eat like sushi and stuff. Like it's raw, whatever. That was her thing. She was like that. Don't give her red meat or anything like that. Like she was that way. I though would eat red meat as a young kid. I would eat, sushi and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I also had good teachers too. Like we used to go to Vanguard in Compton, and I had a teacher by the name of Mr. Edge. And what he did was he made it to where I was a part of this kind of like sorority / fraternity type deal. But he was a Kappa, and we were called Ladies and Gents at the time. And what he did was we would go, and at the end of the year or like the middle of the school year, sometime around that era, we would go to a buffet. There was this buffet type deal in Marina Del Rey that he would take a student. Mind you, we're inner city kids. Yeah. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, we going, where? Marina? Like, what is that? And so we would have, we had to pay our dues and stuff like that, and, got the money together and we went. And when I say that alone, I'm a 7th grader, at the Marina eating, crab legs, oysters. We in there doing it. But again, it was those experiences that, gave me like, wow, like this is something different. I want to do that. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, that's something I try to implement with my son. Like he's just straight up meat eater or candy. Like he see a vegetable, he don't even want to try it. I'm like, son, you don't know if you like it or not until you try it. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So I kind of have to like
with your eyes, man.
Right. I'm like, you don't even know how it tastes. You never had it. So I'm like, I don't want that. It's nasty. You don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So just get into the next question. So, okay, after you joined the military, you became a culinary specialist. You know what I'm saying? So what, and I also read that you went to culinary school online. I don't know if you're currently still going or, if you finished or not, but what are some of the biggest lessons that you took away from culinary school that you kind of implement now?
So I was in online school for my first tenure when I was in the military, excuse me. And then thereafter, upon retiring, I ended up going to Gustave Escoffier, which is in Boulder. And they are one of the top rated French culinary schools. So I went to a French culinary school as opposed to just going to culinary school. And the funny part about when I went to culinary school was the same thing that I did when I was in the Army, the same things that we were being taught, because I would do kind of like, how would I describe it? We had other chefs from civilian sector to military sector that would come in and teach us. If we wanted advanced learning, we could get that. And so the funny part about it is that every military chef learns from Auguste Escoffier. And so I did not know that, of course, being in, that was, I just thought this was a guy that we just looked after, we looked up to and, things like that. But reading about him, it was other things that he taught and he expressed. And, he wasn't a man of looks. It was more of, how does that food taste? So it may not be the prettiest dish that you can put on a plate, but what are the consumers getting from it? How do they feel about it? And he meshed a lot of different flavors. And people, it didn't work, and this is not this and this and that, but he ended up being the best of the best. And so when I went to Escoffier, I ended up pretty much relearning all of that again. So it wasn't a crazy battle for me to be there, which was a blessing, because, you go into new stuff, you're like, oh Lord, what is this? Oh Lord, we're about to do that, and things like that. It really wasn't a battle. The only battle that I had in culinary school was the fact that I had to drive 4 hours every day to get there.
Just straight.
So that was,
that's crazy. That
was the battle. So it was 2.5 hours there. I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, leave out, get there by 6-ish or 5:45-ish or something like that. School started at 6. We get out about 1 o'clock, I want to say.
Where was this at?
This is in Boulder.
In Boulder, okay. Oh, yep. Okay, so Boulder, Colorado, okay. Yep. Got you.
And so I would travel back, get on the food truck, and work. So that was probably like the biggest piece of that, because it was one of those things where I could have quit. I could have said no. I could have been like, we not doing this. This is way too much wear and tear on your car. It's just it's a lot. You know what I mean? And still trying to deal with a family and still trying to be a business owner and do all this other stuff. But I think that was like my most like trying time, like honestly.
Yeah. And you know what, man? Hard times they either break you or reconfirm who you are to yourself. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we kind of down ourselves. You know what I mean? And as soon as a little adversity hits, we tend to either go the opposite way or learn something so major from it that it propels us into success, throughout our lifetime. So now I'm glad you were able to continue through that, man, because I've had your cooking. My homeboy has had your cooking.
Yeah.
Hey, we can attest to this, man. Listen, this cooking, this food is amazing, man.
Yeah.
I've had the greens. It's like a Cajun spice, sweet. I don't even know. I've never had greens like that because I'm from the South, so it's always like or at least in my household, it was always more of a seasoned sodium type seasoning, right?
Smoked meat, you gotta have the smoked meat.
Exactly, smoked meat, chicken broth, things like that. But you brought a different like little pizzazz to it. It was crazy. So before I get too much into the food, because now I'm getting hungry. So let's backtrack a little bit. You started a food truck while you were still in the Army?
So I started Luchal'S in 2016. I got stationed here in 2015.
Okay.
2017 was when I did get my food truck. We revamped it, got everything together. And upon retiring, that was when our food truck had launched. Well, before then, actually, it had launched. So yeah, I was rolling around in the Army, getting off work, coming down, either catering or, doing whatever, going to festivals and, things like that. So, yeah.
Okay. And so real quick, man, I know, I swear it seems like everybody who has gained some type of success has had some type of, has done some type of charitable action prior to or throughout their success, right? And I did read about how you would, help assist in feeding the homeless and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about that and what was what drove you to do that?
So at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur or a philanthropist, whatever you want to be, is service. And my old teacher, Mr. Inge, which I will always go back to because he was definitely a pillar of my success and my way of thinking. He used to say, without service, we have no purpose. And it is true. And I totally agree with that. And I've always held on to those values because I feel like that's why I'm where I am now. At the end of the day, you can't, not saying that you can get anywhere that you want to be. But when that part of service is not within you, I think it's different. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm about feeding people. I want people to eat, and so I got with the Colorado Springs mission, and I ended up, and I cannot remember this lady's name, but she was a retired Air Force cook. And she was the head of their culinary department because I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but at the Colorado Springs mission, they have an actual culinary department where they try to rehabilitate a lot of those that come into there that have a passion for cooking, and they put them through a program. And so I thought that was like so unique. I was like, that's pretty dope. And that's what pretty much rose me to say, I want to get my own school as well. Because this is cool, if I can get juveniles or just rehabilitation period for people that, you have the calling, you have this niche, but something in life, it went this way, it went that way, and it didn't work out. Well, let's try to get you, back on that playing field. And so I got to talking with her, and from there she was like, yeah, whatever you need. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, just put it on the calendar. We'll get you in here. And I'm like, okay. And so my first big mission was cooking for, I think we did about 100 heads that day. I cooked a meal for all 100, me and another sergeant at the time that was in the Army. We both went in there and we just chefed it up. And it was, on the strength of Luchal'S and just us giving back to the community, because that was like real big for me. Because I feel like you should at any time. And I still to this day give back, whether, it's sponsorships or, things like that, whatever our budget is, able to afford, still able to, give back to our people in our community. So yeah. And our people, I mean, just people, period. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Everybody.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. That's dope, man.
Okay, so you started catering in 2016, but what made you transition from just catering into doing like, your personal size portion entrees or, just serving different meals?
Ooh, so what happened was, I catered for a company called 719 Nightlife. And they were promoting different parties, and they were bringing out stars and things like that. And we connected, got a contract going, and I ended up working for them at one point, and working coinciding with them on their backstages and things like that. And so a lot of hype was built up, in behind that, and a lot of people were like, "Well, can we get a plate?" And I'm like, "A plate of what?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And so even when I catered on post, on Fort Carson and stuff, I would have people just email, "Hey, do you guys offer just like private meals or things like that?" And I was like, "No, I just want to cater, and I just want to do big events, whatever." And so from there, the people changed that. They got me to say, "Okay, well, maybe I want to do plates." And so we launched our like delivery service out of a commissary kitchen in 2016. And from there, it was so bad. And what I mean by so bad was people were coming in the snow to come and eat. And we would have lines of cars wrapped around the building to the point where the owners of the location at the time were like, "Hey, we need y'all to find somewhere else to do some stuff." So we
business
ended
too
up building,
good.
we ended up building up a reputation with the community, and everybody was like, "Wow, we want to support." And from there, the rest is history, man. They came through, supported. We did the delivery thing for a while, and then that's when it was hey, you need to get a food truck. You need to go ahead and spend that money because you got a lot of people to feed. And yeah.
So leading into that first off, that's dope because I can see why there would be that type of demand, by tasting your food, right? So leading into the food truck, right? So how hard was it to get the ball rolling and get all your permits and everything kind of aligned for you to open up?
So like I tell people, I wasn't born into business. I am the first and only entrepreneur in my family. And at the end of the day, it's not taught. We're not, a lot of the times we're not teaching. Back in my time, and I don't know why I say it like that, but back when I was in school, it was 9 to 5, go to college, get this, get that. And that was the thing. And given, I understand that. I don't take anything away from that. But we didn't get that knowledge, to know, well, if you want to do this, how do you go about it? So a lot of it was research on my part, family research. My husband, his mom actually went down because she lives in Florida. She went down and looked at the truck for us and looked at the trailer at the time and kind of gave us the okay, like it is. There's nothing going on with it and things like that. You have to do your research for sure because people will definitely try to get you on things like that because mind you, you're spending a pretty penny. Food trucks at the lowest might be 25,000. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not even saying that you have everything that you need inside of it. But luckily, the truck that we ended up getting was manufactured for Florida and Colorado. And so a lot of the things that Colorado was looking for, we had already had. And so it was pretty much a turnkey truck in a sense where all we did was move some stuff around, add some tables, do some things, do that, whatever. And so I got with the health department. They were very, very, very nice. Gave me all the information that I needed, told me what I needed to do, how I need to go about it, sent me paperwork and all type of stuff. Got with the city, find out about taxation, make sure I was doing the right thing. And yeah, it was a lot of just in the books type, research that I had to do on my own. Yeah.
And I like that because that's something that kind of we kind of taught that in the Army, right? Researchability. I feel like that's one of the most overlooked things or skills that we leave the Army with, or any military service with, that we have over, people who, haven't been in. So I think that was a gem in itself, right? You went to the health department and you asked them, "Hey, listen, this is what I want to do. Tell me, everything I need to do A to Z to get this joint up and running, and I'll do it." right? So we as people, we definitely should start leaning into doing more research, right? Because it makes us sharper individuals, and better business owners for sure.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
You get it from the horse's mouth. You don't have to worry about, oh well, John told me, or you know what I'm saying. Like you don't have to worry about that. It's more of because at the time I don't even think I had like crazy amount of friends that were in business. They were in a whole nother state and things like that. So I didn't have the opportunity to just like lean on somebody and say, hey, can you come and give me some pieces on this. It was really more about, hey, let me go find this. If it's something I want to do, I got to find out.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I totally agree with that.
And so real quick there, so from my understanding, based on what you just said, each state has different, I guess, requirements when it comes to starting a food truck. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
So, hey, if you're watching this, make sure you look up your own state, go to your own health department, and all that, and do your own research, right? Because everything that she's saying is here for Colorado may not, be for you. So, make sure you do your own research. All right, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Okay, so now I know that you have a storefront at the Cody high rise. I think how you pronounce it? Kawadi. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. But yeah, so that's where I went to actually experience your food, man. And once again, it was lovely. I think I had like a Cajun shrimp pasta. It had a little kick to it, man. It was just all the flavors, man, would just hit me all at once. But it was great, you know what I'm saying? So
is that considered a ghost kitchen? I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, you good?
Kawadi?
Yes.
No.
What is a ghost kitchen?
Okay, so a ghost kitchen is pretty much
bro. I ain't trying to
kitchen.
I have to ask this.
No, a ghost kitchen is pretty much an open commissary kitchen where ultimately, let's say, if you want to start doing burgers, they'll allow you to put your, ideas on the board and start pushing out your food. What we're in is pretty much like a collective where they take small businesses and they say, okay, well, here goes a location for you. Like they call it the incubator for businesses so that they can grow even more. And so Ghost Kitchen is more of, you'll see, it's kind of like the pop-up deal to where you'll see this one day and then you'll see this another week, or maybe you might have this for 2 months and then this might be, So in a sense, I don't even want to compare them because it's like kind of, but not. It's really not. It's two totally different concepts.
So one's more stable. All right, you can depend on these restaurants being there, and the other, they can be there some days, some days. Okay, gotcha.
Right. So you sell, you market as needed to within whatever contract you have with that commissary, and you kind of go from there.
Okay. All right. My bad, bro. Go ahead, man. I had to ask that though.
So I actually went to the website and I saw that like they kind of like have a whole business model set up for you. You get what I'm saying? Like, so they have the kitchen, the appliances and everything, and I guess you just basically like pay them rent fee per month. Or?
So ultimately, every one of these things are different.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is set up differently. There are some of them where you have to come in with your stuff. There are some of them where you pick your stuff and you just pay your lease on the equipment and things like that. So like for us, we own our equipment. Ultimately, they made it to where it was a space for you to produce, and you have your rental agreement is just based on
what you come
percentages
with,
what you come, right? You know what I mean? So, and again, I say every one of these things are different in every way. There's some that we've seen out in other areas. They go by just like group fees. So you just pay like a straight flat rate for the month or whatever. Some of them just do percentage based. So I think every person is different depending upon what they bring to the table and what they're trying to do. So I can't really speak on everybody. Like, I don't know like how everybody else works, but yeah, for us, we rent our equipment, pay on our equipment and stuff like that. And do our monthly payouts because we're using water. So it's pretty much having your own space, just in a smaller confined area, if that makes sense.
So I asked that to ask the bigger question is, what made you, I don't know if you still have the food truck or do you still use it at times, but what made you transition from, just the food truck to having like a storefront location?
So I think when the opportunity came about, I got asked about it. I didn't even know anything about this space downtown. I ended up getting a text message, and it was from a very, very good person who owns a restaurant within the city. And they were like, we're doing something really cool, and we think you would fit, what we're trying to do, and we would love to have you. They tasted our food. They knew what it was about. And so at the time, it was a juggle, because it was like I've already built this clientele over here. Now I'm getting ready to change up, and I'm about to do something totally different. And what if I lose that clientele? So the mindset going in was, am I going to lose people? What's going to happen? Things like that. My husband was fighting me against it, because he was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if this is, this is going to work. Like, this is, what, because it was something new, something different. You're putting your business on the line to do something totally outside of what you were doing. And so then a light bulb came on, and it was like, people want to be able to sit down and eat our food. We don't have a restaurant. People want an experience too. Some people like the food truck model. They love being able to just grab and go from there. They love seeing us at the festivals and, things like that. But it became, to me, it was like, well, how can I spread the word about Luchal'S in a different manner? Excuse me. And so I think it was like maybe a month or so. And they were, hey, what's up? You guys want to, and we finally were like, yeah, we'll do it. The deal was sweet. It wasn't, any backdoor, anything. Everything kind of went as planned, went accordingly. And that's another thing, you're worried about. You're like, okay, so are these people trying to gouge me for money? Are they going, it's all these different things in your head. And for me, it ended up working out well, because again, our people did want to be able to come and sit down and, have a vibe. And, we create our own vibe. Every pod is different. So, you got Korean, you got Hawaiian, you got sandwiches, but everybody creates their own audience. They captivate their own audiences. And so we opened up down there, and some of our food truck people, they knew about it. We tried to spread the word and, do, all the great stuff. We've lost some people along the way, because they either didn't know, or either they don't live on that side of town. So traveling over there, is not their thing. But we've gained so much from being in that space. So it was actually bittersweet, for sure.
Okay.
Well, I remember the first time I pulled up at your restaurant, because I've gone several times. A lot of times you were away, but the first time I pulled up, I was with my son's mom, and you speak on service a lot, man. The first thing I remember was one, trying the food, obviously. You being a super dope person, because I had no idea you were the owner at that time. And then, I remember you coming to our table and checking up on us, having like a quick little conversation with us. You probably don't even remember that, but
I do not.
You do?
Wow.
So and it's crazy, man, because I always say, like, people will forget, things you do for them, and other things that are unimportant, but they'll never forget the way you make them feel, right? Especially during that first encounter. And so, I was rocking with you from day one. I thought I was sold on what you was doing. I was sold on your restaurant. I was sold on everything, right? So I say that to say, when the food is fantastic, because it is, and the service matches the food, I feel like customers will naturally gravitate to wherever you are. You know what I mean? Unless they are in the dark and don't know, fully about what you're doing and where you're at. So I feel like you shouldn't have had any problems, from the food standpoint, the service standpoint, because you A+ in both of those areas.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the food truck, right? Because it's something that's so attractive, especially nowadays with the whole entrepreneurial vibe going on. There's a lot of people who still sell plates, make food out of their homes. How lucrative is a food truck? I guess how lucrative can it be? And would you recommend that be the first place someone start versus straight to a brick and mortar?
I would not tell you to go straight into a brick and mortar at all. That is, it's not frugal. How can I put this in a way? Because I don't want to, step on any toes. But I didn't get to a point because my friends told me I could cook. You get what I'm saying?
Not you.
They were a part of that. They were a part of that wholeheartedly. It took outsiders to tell me whether or not it was good or not. I don't care what I think. it's about the people. And if the people don't like it, if they don't want it, you are wasting your time trying to create a bigger platform for yourself at the gate.
Gotcha.
Having tastings, catering, things of that nature, I feel like are a big piece of moving forward into the next realm of whatever it is that you want to do. And I wouldn't even say starting off with a food truck first either, because at the end of the day, you need to know if people really like your food. You can go and get a food truck and spend $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 just to not have the customers. And nobody wants to be $25,000 in the hole
for sure.
and not have the customers to help pay for that, that big expense. So I would say for me, it was more the catering, the actual, starting off in that commissary kitchen, doing maybe a ghost kitchen concept, because that would be more pliable, especially when it comes down to, again, you got people that are picky about this, you got people that are picky about that. You need to know your audience, and you need to know what type of audience you're trying to gravitate to. So at the end of the day, if you don't have those ideas in motion or in mind, you're kind of gambling, on your business and whatever it is that you're trying to push forward. So yes, a food truck is great, a restaurant is great, but where did you get the ideology that, and I don't want to say that your food is accepted, but that your community
that your food is accepted. No, I mean, that's a perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't even got to clear that up.
And for me, like we are not perfect, and I tell people that all the time. Nobody's perfect. Like at the end of the day, food is a language of many. And just like you said, you were used to greens that were, sodium and that feel, that kind of, homey kind of feel, that's what a lot of people are used to. You might be used to fried chicken made a certain way. This is Colorado. Colorado is a military town where every walk of life that's coming here is different. They're looking for things like this. They're looking for things like that. And so when you look at that and you see where you are, you just have to know your audience and knowing where you are. And so at the time, there wasn't a lot of, because like I tell people, I don't like to say I'm soul food because we do so much, but there wasn't a lot of comfort spots open, if that makes sense. Not a lot of notable ones that I could say like, okay, yeah, we know we're gonna go here, whatever.
Gotcha.
And so I think for me, it was twisting it, changing it, making it different to where it wasn't just the same old. You can get catfish, you can get snapper, but you can also eat that with Brussels sprouts. It's okay. You know what I mean? You can get these items and still feel wherever it takes you, but it's not like, oh, this is like way far left. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we don't understand it. Because when the community doesn't understand what you're doing, then that's when it's like, okay, now we got to go back to the drawing board. We've been back to the drawing board like twice, maybe 3 times since I've been in business, because it was certain spots that I was hitting that it was like, nope, this is not going to work. Nope, this is not going to be it. So again, had I had a restaurant, that's like trial and error. You do not want to do that in your restaurant as trial and error.
That overhead is crazy. Yeah, the overhead is crazy with a restaurant.
You get what I'm saying?
I can say that I've noticed about you. At first, because I'm super curious when it comes to any type business model, right? And I always, I always notice that you, just doing research on you. I always notice that you always clarify. Listen, this isn't just soul food. This is comfort food.
Yeah, I've seen it on
and it's
multiple
welcome
articles
for everyone, right? And I always thought it was so dope from a marketing standpoint because you know who you're trying to sell your food to, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that in itself is a super gem because, like you said, like if you're going into business, first you need to make sure people rock with your food, but you need to know who your target audience is, right? That's an issue that we're ironing out right now with our show, right? So, find out who you're aiming for when it comes to marketing, and build your business around it, right? So I'm glad you said that. That was a pretty dope piece of information.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, because you can go into a restaurant all day, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be worth your time. You will waste time and money trying to just go on a big platform because, you think you're ready, but have we sat down and done analysis? Did we do our AARs, to figure out, you feel me? Like, You know, we got dragged. It was on one of the foodies page when we had our food truck. We got dragged. When I say dragged, it was bad. It was so bad. And that was an eye-opening experience for me, because the first thing that we do when somebody say they don't like something, we get mad. We get upset, especially being the owner and the creator of the food. And, you know, it's all that, you know. And so you have all these different, you know, things in your head, and these people this and this is that. And it's like, who's eating your food though? The people.
Exactly. It's about
them. It doesn't matter the verbiage, how they say it, whatever. There was something wrong, and we need to figure out what it is. And so that we don't have everybody's not going to like it. It's we get people that, you know, they don't understand like our craft fries and stuff like that. And so they'll, that wasn't really my thing. Cool. It's not for everybody, but we have to understand that piece of it, as opposed to saying, oh, well, they just don't like it cause, or, you know, we get real defensive about it. And I've learned it, but it takes a lot of patience to be able to deal with that part, because it took a lot for me. Now it's more of, okay,
let's start taking offense and start taking notes.
Yeah, that's it. And that's all you do. Okay, well, maybe this was too salty. Maybe somebody was on shift and they didn't do this right, you know, and then we go back and we try to fix, you know, whatever that might be. Or it's just, you just have a palate for salty food and you just thought it was salty, you know, whatever. Yeah. But we definitely have to take those things into consideration now when we get ready to start a new venture, I guess.
Okay. All right. So since we're on the business side of it, one of my biggest questions I wanted to ask was, you know, we're still dealing with COVID. We're in the pandemic. Hopefully we're on the other side of it, but who knows? But, you know, with that, we've been having issues with supply chains, you know, prices steadily, you know, rising in every field, every aspect. So how have you been dealing with that as far as like with your menu options and, you know, how have you been making your workarounds with those issues?
For us, we have a very good advisor who came on board with us last year, and he has been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. You need someone in charge of the person in charge. And so he is pretty much in charge of us and tells us.
Say that one more time though, because I just like, it just hit me like 2 seconds after you said it. So
yeah,
can you repeat that part?
So my thing is like, you need someone in charge of the people in charge. Mm-hmm. And so you can't just run the business. Me and my husband can't just run the business on our own, because at the end of the day, we're married and there's this piece here and there's that piece here. And if we don't see eye to eye, now we're going back and forth trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. But with him, it's more of a middle ground of, okay, well, look, this is the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. What's the solution? And I think for us going into it, you have to be creative. And you have to change up certain things. There was a time when we didn't have catfish. Catfish was at like when I say bad shortage, it was horrible. We could not get it in. It was out of stock for God knows how long. We had to go and do a different model. Okay, well, what other fish can we bring in that's not going to be too expensive, but is going to be, you know, good and, you know, worth this, like that. Chicken wings, taking chicken wings off the menu. What can we do to, you know, give people what they want, just in a different sector? Mm-hmm. And so my thought process was, especially during COVID when the doors closed, it was like, yo, I got six people that are trying to make a living, and I have to figure out what to do. It's on my shoulders. It's not on their shoulders. It's on their shoulders because they don't know if they're going to have a job, but it's on my shoulders to make sure that I keep them employed. And so my thought process just kicked in, you know, being that leader, being that NCO in the Army, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was all that that kicked in for me. That was like, okay, well, let's go back to the drawing board and see what we can do to change up some things. And so we got creative, we got a little lucrative, you know, kind of start digging in. I started talking to the team. Hey, y'all, what do you think we should do? Let's come up with some ideas. Let's brainstorm together. Because at the end of the day, my team is the reason why we're successful. I've done the part that it's still doing it, but I've done the hard work of getting it going. Now they're just keeping that train running. And so at the end of the day, we got to talk to the team. We got to, you know, come together and figure out something. Because again, these are people that I have to account for. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was just getting real creative and trying to figure out what we can do differently and how we can still set a standard and still keep the quality coming in good, but changing it up a little bit, you know, because it's still hard. It's not easy, even to this day. COVID, the first shutdown, cool. second piece of it, okay, now we're at 35-45% on food costs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going up. Things that you wouldn't think are expensive are
Crazy
now
expensive.
You get what I mean? You know, like, it's, it's sad, so we're trying to keep our stuff at a decent cost, but at the end of the day, supply and demand. You want it. Unfortunately, this is how, if this is something that you really, 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 really want, and we want to keep it in stock, and we can keep it in stock, well, unfortunately, if we have to charge, this amount, that's what we have to do as well. So it's two sides of it,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and that's simple economics, Supply if something goes down, the demand goes up, the price have to, meet the demand, right? So, I mean, that's, me and my homeboy, we was having a conversation, and I think it was yesterday, talking about, prices, and, like you said, you can choose to not pay for something, if you don't want it, but the demand is still there, and because the price is high, right? So, don't argue about people's price. Chances are it's priced that way for a reason that isn't as selfish as people think, right? From the outside looking into a business, right?
Definitely.
So definitely keep that in mind. Okay, so we've been using a couple military terms, and I want to go ahead and clear them up because I just thought about it. Like, hold on, we got a lot of people that are just regular civilians. And so AAR is an after action report, which is like a review of something that you've done, right? So, you've done it. Now we got to talk about, okay, what we did good, what we did bad, what can we keep for the next piece of training or, whatever. And then what should we change, right? So that's what an AAR is. Right. NCO, non-commissioned officer, I got to break it down to them because I don't want to lose nobody on this episode. And NCO, that's it's a non-commissioned officer, right? So basically it's a person of leadership, supervisors, people that have rank in the Army that, look after the lower enlisted, right? So, before we lose anybody, that's what that meant. All right. Now,
okay. We appreciate it.
Yeah. See, so, okay. So let's fast forward to, what are some attributes you took from the Army, from a leadership standpoint or from just a team working standpoint that you use today in your business model?
So I want to say like the brink of 2017, 16, the Army kind of transitioned and they stopped making it to do as I say and like not as I do, you know what I mean? And so they were trying to train, newly non-commissioned officers and supervisors and things like that to be able to, how can I put it? You can't just tell somebody to do something.
Be the example.
Get it. So go clean, go clean the water up off the ground. And of course, the question will be, why are we sweeping up water off the ground? What are we doing? And you give them a reason. You motivate them. Give them that, okay, well, this is why we're doing it because of A, B, C, and D. And I had to learn crossing over from the military that I couldn't just bark orders and think that was going to make everything better. Mm-hmm. And so with that trial and error, I think for me, it was just more of, okay, what is the reason? Give them the reason behind why we do A, B, C, and D. Working with people that have never been in the kitchen before, they don't understand why you have to wipe this down over here or why we have to use gloves in this piece or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. But being able to give a reason to motivate them to do more was really big. And that's big in any organization that you're in, because when your people are not motivated, you have nothing. So just like you talked about the customer service piece. Yeah, you talk about the customer service piece. If the customer service is not good, and I don't mean, fake it till you make it, but I mean to the point where it's like you're giving them you enjoy being here. I want you to enjoy being where you are. Mm-hmm. And I had to give, I had to show, something within me, as even when it was rough, I still enjoy being here. Mm-hmm. Even when the customer is upset, I still enjoy being here. Even when we get a bad review, I still enjoy being here. It's nothing's going to change that because I'm motivated to do something, to change the world or change whatever that motivation piece may be. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm aiming for. And so to give people a reason as to why we handle things the way we handle it and why we, find solutions for why we don't just say, hey, customer is looking for the bathroom, and you just go and you do a point instead of walking around. And if you have nothing else going on, you say, you know what, I can show you real quick. Let me go show you where the bathroom. That goes a long way.
Sure.
It goes a long way, and I think for me, that part was real big. And then just the leadership role as a whole, because I was a non-commissioned officer, and I had, so we would be in the field, that field life, like, we out here, we waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, having to cook meals and do all this crazy stuff. I had one of my supervisors, he would tell me, make the food sexy. And we all looking at him. I was new. I was like, sir, what you mean? I'm like, this is the field. We can't make, what are you talking about? This is what they gave us, is what we're gonna cook, it was pushing, the limits. It was like, no, you don't just stop here and just settle here and think that, you know what I'm saying? Like, people want an experience. People want to feel good. They want to feel something when they come, and especially when they're spending their money with you, and things like that. So I have to instill that in my people and people to come. If you're working here, just understand that we are giving the people what they want. It's not about you. It's about them. So at the end of the day, they're the reason why you get a check. They're the reason why you are able to come back every day. You know what I mean? So again, customer service driven, for sure. Customer service first. And my mom always taught me that too. She was always in customer service. She, how to speak to folks, how to say, how to do this, how to articulate this, how to give people understanding at their level, because sometimes you can't speak to everybody the same. And so the Army taught me that as well, because it was like, yo, you think you're coming in, you're like, yep, you go this, do, and then you got that one person that's like, what is that? What are you trying to say? And you're like, well, I just said this in plain English. You would think that it's, and then you got to break it down in different ways. So everybody is not the same. Everybody's working style is not the same.
Sure.
All of that actually is just, it's imperative, you know what I'm saying, for my company. But it definitely helped me. Those were the biggest pieces from the Army that I could say that I took, that has helped me to this day, for sure.
For sure. And I feel like I was definitely fortunate enough to work in both eras, right? I came in 2012, and they were still, barking orders at people at that time. And I made rank pretty fast. And I always wondered why NCOs didn't just give us a reason, because here's the thing: giving your not only just telling your people what to do, but giving them a reason as to why they're doing it. It encourages them to think of better ways. People don't think about it like that. You know what I mean? And so, and I always had, matter of fact, the people that that I served with, that were my NCOs that were my leaders, I always had, and I still keep in contact with them. I always had the greatest respect for them for telling me why, because I was a real good soldier, and 9 times out of 10 I had a better way. So tell me why, so we can make this thing more efficient, right? So if y'all don't take anything else from this, if you got a team, man, make sure you're telling them why. Don't just hey, go do this because I said so, because I'm the boss. Without your team, you're nothing.
You're nothing. Nothing at all. I take that one to heart, because at the end of the day, like I said, the train is rolling. I'm not there to make the train roll, but it's about what you instill in your people. If you're trying to create an empire, you can't create an empire on a slave mentality. These are not slave workers. This is not, these aren't people robots, you know what I mean? And so when you treat people like people, and you actually say, okay, let me give you this, and understand that you're here with them. There's no difference. You know what I mean? Cool, you own it. That's great. That's beautiful. But at the end of the day, these are the people that are here to make your shit run. And if you're not treating them with any type of anything, and they're just a number, you lose them quick.
Man. You will. Yeah. And another thing I want to highlight real quick is, man, you kind of glossed over it a little bit, but I want to focus on it a little bit. You cannot talk to everybody the same way.
No,
you can't. You can't lead your team the same. Everybody, we all grew up in different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Different demographics, right? So exactly. So we see things in a different way. Some people you may have to be a little bit harder on, because that's what it takes for them to be their best selves, versus another person. They like the fact that you respect them and can speak soft-heartedly to them, and that drives them to go harder, right? So you have to know your people, man. And so I ain't want you to gloss over that, because that's super important as well.
Yeah,
sure. You can't talk to everybody the same way.
No, you cannot. No, that's a big piece, because it's like you can't speak English to a person that speaks Spanish. You get what I'm saying? So if it's something that they don't compute it in the way that you think that they should, you can't get upset with that. You have to find those ways to figure out, how can I get to this person and connect to this person so that they understand that the mission that we're trying to do.
Gotcha.
You know?
So Chef Luchal'S.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Why is that so hard to say, bro?
I don't know why.
Messing it up too.
I have to think about it every time. But anyway, so as I was doing my research on you, man, I saw that, you've been in the mix with some pretty big names, and not to say that you need those names to validate your cooking, because I can validate myself. It was delicious, but
amazing.
Can you kind of expound on maybe some of the people that you've catered for, and like what were those experiences like, meeting those people?
So I catered for Trina, and that was an experience within itself. I met her mom and her dad. She was awesome. Her parents were awesome. Parents loved the food. That was really big. And again, it's not a validation piece. It's just more of knowing that you're on the right track and you're doing well. Right. And I feel like I wouldn't have been in those arenas had it been different.
Gotcha.
And so she was good. I catered for Tony. They loved it. Talked to them personally. It was great. Beat King, he came down with his craziness and had a good time. But I got a picture with him with a whole bunch of chicken wings in his mouth. We also had Adam Lambert from the Disney Channel come down. He flew in, and his aunt apparently is one of my guests. So she shops with us all the time. And so she kept telling him about it. And he came to Kauai and actually ate with us, took some pictures with my staff, and loved the food. And he still interacts with us to this day.
Okay.
And so, that's a big, it's a big piece for me. Like I said, it was knowing that the food was accepted, and just everybody, they're human, just like we are. Like there's nothing different. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh my God, whatever. But it's just one of those things where people can be picky.
Sure.
And especially with Trina, she's from Florida, so.
And they've been exposed to a lot of different types of food.
You get what I'm saying? So, to have that, and for her to say, I want to take a plate home, I was like, oh, okay. And so I was like, wow, my husband's from Florida. They eat different. They don't eat like my husband's picky. He's very picky about how he eats from the grits on down. You know what I mean? So, even Tokyo, she's from Louisiana, straight out. You know what I'm saying? Like out there. And I fed her, and she loved it, took a plate home, before she got on her next flight. And it was great, it was phenomenal, being able to feed people in that, that realm, and still pushing forward. I actually got contacted by someone from the Denver Nuggets a while back, and they wanted to do like private, services and stuff like that. So, it's again, a blessing, to be able to service people like that. But it was fun, I have a good time when I do those type of things. But
okay.
So would you say, right, because you kind of skipped over this question, because it was a 2-part question, so I need to do better at singling up my questions, I guess. But would you say that with the work that you've put in, the preparation you've done up to this point, your food truck and your restaurant, would you say that they've been pretty lucrative for you?
Yes.
Man, just a little bit.
Being in food, and a lot of people, you can flip chicken, flip that chicken and make $1, that's cool. It is a back-breaking process. It is a money losing process. It is a bare minimum you put money in your pocket process. Everything that we've done, all of our money has gone right back into the company, because I can't. Just because you make $1 doesn't mean that you need to give it to yourself. What are the different ways that you can start curating your company again, trying to figure out which way, which arena, what are you going to do? And again, going back to captivating that audience and knowing the audience, your audience might change. So you might say, okay, well, I don't want to do this part no more. I want to go this way. And so now you have to do whatever you can. And for me, it's by investing every dollar that we do receive, going back into our people, going back into our company, going back into the people that do services for us, making sure that we are setting ourselves up to be that company. Because I don't want us to just be a company that, oh, it was good when it was good, but then it fades away. You get that one moment of shine, and then it's all stars and lights and all this other stuff, and then after it's okay, well, on to the next. I don't want to be that. I want to be a staple wherever I go, from Colorado to LA to Florida, wherever. And I think for me, the way that we're doing it is just by taking every dollar that we have. We can have fun later. We can go on them trips later. We can do all this other stuff can be done later. But now it's about investing in this company twofold, So.
Yeah, sure. So real quick, bro, before you go, I know I keep interrupting you, bro. I swear I'm gonna stop one day, bro. Okay, so at what point do you say, okay, listen, my business has gotten to the level where I saw it at, right, on my vision board, right, and now I can start taking not all the profits, but more of a bigger cut for me to start doing things for my family, or for me to start giving back in different ways other than what you're doing now. Like, at what point do you say, okay, I've reached my goal, now I can start doing more for my family and other people?
When you reach your goal.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
So and what I mean by that is, so let's say your family, they see you doing things and, oh, this is great and all this other stuff, and the idea, the mindset is, oh, they booming. They got the money. They got this, they got that. That's the mindset. For half of the people that don't know a lot about entrepreneurship, it is, oh my goodness, we see this, we see that. But not knowing that it takes so much time to get from A to Z. You know what I'm saying?
Learning that one.
It takes so much time. Again, okay, I'm about to go flip this burger and it's about to make me $10,000. That's cool. But at the end of the day, what are you doing with that $10,000? Are you're giving it to yourself? Is that all that it's supposed to just go straight to you, nothing else? If your mindset is only on flipping the dollar, it's going to be hard for you to get anywhere. Because again, you should be trying to reinvest in yourself. I can't give my family houses and mansions and cars and take them on trips and do all this other stuff if I don't put into my company. I need to get the company straight first.
Okay, so yeah, now I think you misunderstood. So when I say family, I mean like those in your household. Yeah,
definitely. No, and I mean, and what I'm saying is even for my household, it's more of, we have these little things that we do, we'll budget for, cool. But as far as like big this, big that, it's understood.
Gotcha.
We are building a brand. So at the end of the day, I can't roll around in the new this and the new, like we're not doing that right now.
Gotcha.
You do that later. That comes later. That comes with when you decide, or when you say, hey, we've reached this height, this goal, here it is. Now we can kind of sit back, but you'll never be able to sit back as an entrepreneur. You shouldn't be able to just sit back and say, I'm done. There is no I'm done. Because you're still thinking, you're still rolling, there's still other things that need to be done. There might be a new venture that you might want to go on that, okay, well now here it goes. It starts all over again. You get what I'm saying? Sure. Jeff Bezos, he was running his company out of his garage. And now this man, I can't get away from Amazon because Amazon is everywhere. You get what I'm saying? But it took time. It wasn't just okay, well, hey, we made $8,000. Now I can go and, we're going on a family trip. It's like, no, we have to reinvest in ourselves. And that goal is whatever that goal is for you, whatever you as that entrepreneur says, you know what, if 60,000 is my goal to where I feel like we are comfortable and we can make some things happen because we're turning over money and we're able to flip our change, then cool, that works. But it's really on you and what you want from your company. And for me, I have so much that I want out of my company that and I don't want to say like stagnant, but having a time to where I feel like I'm having fun. Like even when I do have fun, I don't feel like I should, because I feel like there was other things that I could be doing or investing in, You know what I'm saying? While having fun.
Man, we ain't even coach you into this answering. What you saying, it just goes along with everything that we talk about. You know,
for sure.
We're always talking about reinvesting in yourself, reinvesting in your company if you have one, or should you have one day. So I'm glad you answered the question like that, because that's kind of what we push on the show, right? We didn't have to coach you into that. So yeah, that just reinforces what we talk about, man. So I appreciate you answering it in that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, bro. I know you got something
man.
for.
I was just gonna ask, like, so in our city, and I'm pretty sure everywhere, we have a lot of people that, you know, it's kind of doing the whole cooking from home thing. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, you know, this episode will inspire them to, you know, take that next step to, you know, if they're ready for it, if they have the audience for it, to, you know, maybe get a food truck and maybe eventually get like a brick and mortar. But what
Cater first, though. Cater first, like you said. Test
cater.
the market.
Yeah, test the market. Make sure, you know. But we have a few around here that, you know, they've been pretty popular for a while now, you know, in this area and surrounding area. So what advice would you give those people that's, you know, maybe looking to start transitioning to the next step?
Start. Just start. Like you have to do something. So, you know, scared money don't make money. If you feel like you're ready and you feel like it's something that you can do and you think it's going to be lucrative, number one, entrepreneurship is not, oh, I win every day. You're going to take an L no matter what. You just have to be ready to take that L when that L comes. And so I think having a mindset going into it, not being scared to fly and spread those wings for the ones that are ready and feel like they got it, do it. Because you never know what'll come out of it. I was scared. Food truck time, I was scared. It was scary. It was okay. Now we bigger scale, bigger, you know, spectrum. Different people coming through, you know, and you know, seafood is not cheap, and so we're charging what we're charging, and you know, this is too expensive, and this is too this, and you get all these different things in your ear, and of course, it's going to make you. It'll either make or break you. So it's either going to make you say, okay, well, maybe you're not my audience. Or you're going to say, well, let me, you know, do this so I can satisfy this. You come in there headstrong. Your motto is your motto. What you're trying to put out is what you're trying to put out. And if you stand strong on that, the people will stand strong behind you if it is a marketable model. And I feel wholeheartedly about that. So just start. Don't hesitate. Don't do anything. Say whatever you got to do. Save up them chips. Go to your local resources. We have so many different resources in Colorado Springs that can get you, you know, on the right track. SCORE is one of those. They have like pro bono people that they ask you for your business plan. They ask you for these things. They will help you get a business plan together. Mm-hmm. They go through so many questions about your company that it'll probably make you think twice about, well, wait, am I really ready to move forward? So those are things that we need to set ourselves up for, because again, you don't want to just go out there and do something and then fall flat. Yeah. No matter how good it is. Even for us, you know, we had I think when I started our Facebook in 2016, we started off with like 300 people. We had moved up to almost 2,000 within less than a year. You know what I'm saying? And that was a lot of people that were looking at the time, and we're almost at 10,000 now. And so it's like just having these people say that they're vested in your company, that means a lot. They're watching you, they're following you, they want to see you do stuff. You know what I'm saying? But again, knowing what you're doing before you do it, knowing what you do before you get out there, so that you're not falling flat, so that you're not, you know, making or taking these big risks that are going to cost you, you know, thousands of dollars later, is very important. But definitely do it. Do what you need to do. Okay. Do your research. Go out there, get the information that you need. Read books. One thing they say, you know, a book will take you a long way. You know,
I thought you was about to say the other thing. Hey, you chose positivity, and I love that. Yeah. I love that. There you go.
So, you know, you read your books. Get into your business books. Heck, take a freaking class or something. Yeah. You know, go and do these things. Educate yourself so that, you know, you're not going to know everything. Even in entrepreneurship, you're learning along the way. No matter what, you can read as many books as you want and still have problems. Like I said, you'll be able to take your L's when you have your L's, and you take your W's when you get your W's. You know, so. For me, it's just like I said, just get out there and do it, man. And,
so you mentioned Facebook, social media, right? And I want to ask this question before we end the interview. How has content creation either helped or hurt your business, and how important how important is it to produce good content for your business as a chef or as a restaurant owner?
It's, oh gosh, you have to. So people eat with their eyes. And so when we were doing the food truck model was the plates and the styrofoam and the this and the that, right? Because that's what it was. It was a food truck. So we didn't have all the fancy containers and all this other stuff. As we converted over to the restaurant, it had to be different. We had to change the idea. We had to change our target market because, you can't go in there and at the time we started off with the styrofoams and things like that, but it was like, not in here. You got to change it up. You know what I mean? Sure. You got to change it up. So the ideology was to go in and change up what we were doing, how we were doing it. Marketing is really big. It's huge. Having a social media platform is huge. You may not be able to hit all of them. You may not be able to do TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and you may not be able to get all of those. But the biggest ones that we have right now are Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is blowing up for everybody that's into the video stuff. If you're not into the video world and you don't, that's just not your jive, you don't have to be. But eventually you need to start getting into that motion because these are things that are helping. Like having an Instagram alone, you'd be shocked at who is watching your page. You'd be shocked at who is, looking at your stuff. And if your content is outstanding, you're not going to lose. And so I feel like we've definitely changed over how we present what we do, hiring photographers, having people come out, doing, because at first it was me. I would take all the pictures. I was taking all the pictures of my food. Everything I did, that was all just for a whole 2.5, 3 years, taking pictures, doing it. And after a while, once you get to a certain area, it's like, you can't keep taking these photos. Like, you don't have that eye. You can't, how I tell people, it's called the do-it-yourself model. Mm-hmm. You can start that way. Do-it-yourself is great in the beginning because you save a lot of money. Your audience may not be too crazy big, but it works for what you have at the time. Mm-hmm. But when you get to a certain arena, and again, reinvesting in your company and yourself, you have to change that. And so Facebook has been a real big tool for us. I've grown our Facebook, I've tripled it, and it's been a blessing, but that's also learning analytics, learning all of these things, reading about how that works and, what your reach and what that does. Yeah, you may not have 2 and 3 people or 15 people to like your page or your post, but you reached almost 1,000 folks, which means somebody's watching you. So having that mindset and understanding that, where you're winning, where you might be, falling short or, whatever the case might be is very important. But social media is a big piece of our world. Everybody has a phone. Yeah. Everybody has a phone. We don't even have payphones anymore. Everybody has a phone. You know what I'm saying? From the cheapest phone to the most expensive. Mm-hmm. People are looking at content. People are watching things. They're on it 24/7. Yeah. And so you got to grab those people. And word of mouth is also big for us. And with the word of mouth, now you have the pictures and you have the platform to show people, hey, this is what it is. We didn't have a website. We didn't have a website when we started. We were just Facebooking and Instagram, Facebook and Instagram. But when you get into a certain arena, after a while, you start growing. People want to see your website. They want to be able to say, okay, well, let me see if these people are, back. They want to make sure that you're on Google. They want to, because now it's about validating what people are saying. It's about validating what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see a Facebook commercial all day and little, sponsored posts and things like that. All right, well, do you have a website I can go to? We used to get calls. Do you have a website I can go to? Do you have a website? I don't have Facebook. I don't have this. I don't have that. And so you start realizing that you're losing people because you don't have these things. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, man. Don't we know it? Trust me.
Learning. Yeah.
It gets to a point where we're like, ooh, like this, that hurts. And so then it's like, well, let's go ahead and drop that 6,000 on rebranding. Let's go ahead and drop that 10,000. Let's go and drop that 4. Whatever we need to do to make sure that we're reaching the people like we want to. You can only do certain things for so long. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how I see it.
Well, and then real quick, the power of social media. Let me tell you, because I had no idea. I was new to Colorado. I just got here last summer, beginning of last summer, and I had no idea about who you were, your restaurant. I actually found out about your restaurant on TikTok. from someone else's page. So it was
Really?
like a top like 5 places to eat in Colorado Springs.
Oh wow.
And this was some random person. It had like hella views too. It had like, close to 100,000. Close to 100,000 views, yes. And so cause that's what me and my son's mom, that's what we did when we got here, trying to find out which places best to eat. And your restaurant was up there, and I saw the food, and I was like, yeah, I don't even care about what comes after it, because it was the first one. I don't even care about what comes after this. I'm about to go ahead and end this video, type this restaurant in, get the location so I can pull up. And that's when I actually met you. So I had no idea about your Instagram, Facebook, any of that until I saw what someone else posted on social media. So that's the power of social media. Even if you're not posting it yourself, if you have a good product, someone will review it on the social media, and that will either draw attention to it or away from it. So for sure.
That word of mouth piece. That's what I tell people. That word of mouth is really what got us. Mm-hmm. Word of mouth was before we had platforms, and it was word of mouth. People they were telling this person, and that person was telling that person, and it just kept. Oh yeah, my friend told me about this, or my cousin came, and we have a whole family from Hawaii. They had just came down. I think their people were in the military. Whole family. One of their family members came down. He was like, yeah, we're from Hawaii, and my cousin came and ate, and now that whole family comes, and they dine with us to this day from food truck to Kauai. You know what I mean? So word of mouth is really, really big, and it, again, like you said, if it's something that people really, really like, they're going to tell people about it. They're going to get, and that gives people a reason. Well, if so-and-so heard about it and they liked it, I think I'm going to like it too. So now they're going to come down and do, whatever. So the support is definitely real in that aspect. So I appreciate that. Whoever did that, thank you.
Sure. Shout out to you. Because that definitely tickled my stomach.
Yeah, it was delicious. But hey, man, I just want to say, hey, you giving us so many lessons on leadership, entrepreneurship, business. I just want to say thank you for your time, man. Them lessons and the stuff that you're speaking on are the things that we're going through right now with the podcast and other business ventures that we have outside of the podcast. So, hey, I just appreciate you a lot. It's been a long time coming, but we finally made it happen. And Tyler, this is one of your favorites.
For sure. Hey, listen, everything happens when it's supposed to happen, right? Yeah. So, listen, the build up made this moment better. You know what I mean? Jumping through the hoops, man. Listen, I don't jump through hoops for people unless I really see value in what you can bring to our show. And so, she can tell. Hey, you could tell him. Hey, I was probably a little annoying. Hitting you up constantly. Hey, can you come on? Can you do this? Can you do that? Hey, man, listen, I saw the value.
That's what it takes, though, man. Yeah.
I saw the value.
So it was that email. How I knew you was serious. I seen that email. I showed my husband. I said, "Look at this. I know you did A, B, C, D." And I remember this. I read about it, and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "That whoa!" Like it really, it kind of, it hit me in the heart. I was like, "Dang!" Like you really took the time to really, look. And I'm like, "Who am I?" You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but you took the time to, look up, valuable information, and I appreciate you for that. Being consistent like that. Look, you guys got it. So
I appreciate it.
Hey, so we gonna end it on this, man. Give us, where do you see yourself in your business in 10 years, right? Because we big on affirming things, right, on the show, right? So tell us where you see yourself in 10 years, 5 to 10 years, and after you tell us that, give us a ending message to our followers, to our people that view our content, who may be potentially leaning on joining the restaurant business, the food truck, business from an entrepreneurship level. Just give them some encouraging words. But prior to that, just let us know your plans for the next 10 years.
I mean, if the Lord shall say, I plan on opening up a brick and mortar of my own, and having multiple concepts within Colorado and outside the state. So that is the goal. Not just to do a Luchal'S, but to do other things as well. We have so many other ideas that we want to bring forth. It's just about finding the right spot and the right, area. I don't want to just settle for anything. So that's the ideology. And hopefully brick and mortar coming sooner than later this year. But we will see. And as far as, to the people, I guess I can tell you to just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Like you cannot, I guess what I'll say is when I was coming up and doing this thing, I had a lot of naysayers that was around that, they would tell me no. They would be like, hey, that's probably not going to work. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that, and I couldn't let those voices stop me from doing what I needed to do. Yeah. And I think having a sound mind within yourself and standing firm on what you believe in and what you want will definitely take you far, because people will see that in you, and then that's the value that they take from you. And so being strong about whatever that concept is, or whatever that dream is that you have, standing on that is very important. And so I would say just keep standing on what you believe in, and keep moving forward, and don't let anybody stop you.
I love it, man. I love it. Listen,
appreciate it.
There you have it, man.
Talking to us.
The chef herself, right? If you're in the Colorado Springs area, or planning a trip to come here, make sure y'all stop by I'm about to get this right now. Luchal'S. That's right. Hey, there we go. Make sure y'all stop by Luchal'S fine dining, because that's what I'm calling it, right? Yeah, make sure y'all stop by that, man, and bless your soul with this food, man, because it's really, truly that amazing. Matter of fact, right, because I'm a man of my word, I'm pulling up today. Don't know if you're going to be there, but I'm going to go ahead and get some of that catfish, because that's one of the things I have yet to try. All right, so, yeah, I'm going to pull up today, and I'm going to do that. Matter of fact, right after this, we're going to get this joint going. And before we let everybody go, man, I want to do this real quick. Shout out to my sis, the owner of Our Money Borsa. It's a black-owned apparel company. We'll be designer brand here pretty soon. And I rock with everything she's doing. I had to go ahead and show her support by rocking her paraphernalia, right, on the show. So shout out to her, man. Shout out to you, Cass. Love you. Keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna support you throughout it. All right. So with that being said, man, we're gonna go ahead and sign off, man. You got anything to say for the people? Thanks.
That's it, man. We appreciate your time, man. Hey, y'all just keep grinding. Y'all take them life lessons you gave. Sure. Keep striving. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There it is, man. There we have it, man. We signing off, man. Peace.